It was a cold December day in New York City, 1910. Fifth Avenue bustled with the energy of the holiday season. Shoppers in thick wool coats, horse-drawn carriages clattering over the cobblestones, and the sound of distant bells echoing from St. Patrick's Cathedral. Among the fashionable crowd walked a young woman who seemed to belong perfectly to this world of privilege and refinement. Her name was Dorothy Harriet Camille Arnold, the 25-year-old daughter of a wealthy perfume importer. She was beautiful, intelligent, and the picture of upper-class grace. But within hours, Dorothy Arnold would vanish without a trace, and her disappearance would become one of America's most haunting unsolved mysteries. Before we dive into this chilling story, make sure to subscribe to Crimes Through Time. And if you enjoy uncovering history's darkest crimes and forgotten mysteries, give this video a like. It helps others find these eerie tales. Now, let's step into a time when New York's social elite hid. There's scandals behind marble walls and silence. Dorothy was born in 1885, the second of 4 children in the affluent Arnold family. Her father, Francis Arnold, was a prominent New York businessman, a man of strict propriety who prided himself on the family's reputation in high society. The Arnolds lived in a mansion on East 79th Street, surrounded by servants, chauffeurs, and the best of everything that early 20th century money could buy. Dorothy was educated at Bryn Mawr College, where she studied literature and languages. Friends described her as cheerful, confident, and ambitious, particularly when it came to writing. She dreamed of becoming a novelist, a goal that was considered unconventional for a woman of her status at the time. After graduating, Dorothy began writing short stories and submitting them to magazines under her own name. Her family, especially her father, viewed this literary ambition as foolish. When her stories were rejected, he mocked her attempts, calling them a waste of time. But Dorothy refused to give up. She saw writing as her escape, a way to define herself outside of her family's rigid expectations. On the morning of December 12, 1910, Dorothy left her family home wearing a stylish navy blue tailor-made suit, a broad-brimmed velvet hat, and carrying a small handbag. She told her mother she was going out to buy a new evening gown for an upcoming family event. At about a.m., she walked down Fifth Avenue, greeting acquaintances along the way. One friend later recalled Dorothy was cheerful, even playful, saying she was shopping for something special. She stopped at Brentano's bookstore on 27th Street, where she purchased a copy of Engaged Girl Sketches, a light romantic book. She was last seen leaving the store at about p.m., walking back up Fifth Avenue towards Central Park, and then nothing. Dorothy Arnold was never seen again. When she didn't return home that evening, her family assumed she had gone to stay with a friend. By the next morning, they were worried but not panicked. The Arnolds were a proud family, and Francis Arnold was extremely concerned about the potential embarrassment of his daughter being missing. Instead of going to the police, he began his own discreet search. He telephoned Dorothy's friends, visited her favorite shops, and even contacted private investigators. But every inquiry ended the same way. No one had seen Dorothy since that afternoon on Fifth Avenue. After 2 days of silence, the family finally admitted the truth: Dorothy was gone. The private detective suggested making the case public, but Francis refused. He feared the scandal would destroy their family's standing in society. It wasn't until 6 weeks later, when the detectives had exhausted every lead, that the family reluctantly went to the police. By then, any trace of Dorothy, or anyone who might have seen her, had vanished into New York's crowded streets. The police investigation quickly spread beyond the city. Courts were checked, hospitals contacted, and asylums searched for any unidentified women matching Dorothy's description. The press seized on the story, transforming Dorothy's disappearance into a national obsession. Newspapers ran bold headlines like "Society Girl Vanishes on Fifth Avenue" and "Heiress Missing Mystery Deepens." The public devoured every rumor that she had eloped, committed suicide, been kidnapped, or fled to Europe to start a new life. But beneath the surface, something darker was taking shape. Detectives soon discovered that Dorothy had been secretly involved with a man named George C. Griscom Jr., a wealthy but much older engineer from Pennsylvania. Her parents disapproved of him, viewing him as socially inferior and morally suspect. Letters between Dorothy and Griscom, later made public, revealed a complicated emotional dependency. In one letter, written just weeks before she vanished, Dorothy confessed that her life felt meaningless and that she longed for affection and freedom. Investigators tracked Griscom to Italy, where he was staying with his parents. When questioned, he appeared genuinely distraught, insisting he had no idea what happened to Dorothy. He claimed she had written to him a few days before she disappeared, planning to meet him after the holidays. Griscom cooperated, fully, even showing reporters the last letter she sent, which contained no hint of despair or finality. Still, the Arnolds despised him and refused to consider him innocent. As the months passed, strange rumors began to spread. Some claimed Dorothy had been secretly pregnant and died during a botched abortion, a tragedy her family covered up to avoid scandal. This theory gained traction when police investigated a doctor who allegedly performed illegal procedures for high society women, but there was no proof Dorothy had ever been his patient. Others whispered she had taken her own life out of humiliation over her failed writing career, yet nobody was ever found. No suicide note left behind. By the spring of 1911, the case had become both a media circus and a cold trail. Every new sighting of Dorothy in Paris CAFS, on cruise ships, or wandering the streets of Philadelphia turned out to be false. Her family even offered a $1,000 reward, but it yielded nothing. Francis Arnold became increasingly bitter toward the press and the police, insisting his daughter had been murdered, though he provided no evidence to support it. Years passed, and the mystery only deepened. In 1914, a woman imprisoned in Rhode Island claimed Dorothy had died in a hospital following an abortion, and that her body was secretly burned. Police investigated but found the claim baseless. In 1916, another rumor emerged that Dorothy was living in seclusion in Los Angeles under a different name. That too led nowhere. Francis Arnold never recovered from the scandal. He refused to declare Dorothy legally dead, but in interviews, he often spoke of her as if she were gone forever. "I am convinced my daughter is dead," he told reporters in 1914. "I believe she was lured away and killed shortly after she left Brentano's. We shall never find her." Dorothy's disappearance haunted the American imagination for decades. It wasn't just the mystery of how she vanished, it was where. Fifth Avenue wasn't some remote countryside or dangerous back alley. It was one of the safest, busiest, most visible streets in New York City. The idea that a young woman could walk into the heart of Manhattan and simply cease to exist terrified people, for women especially. Dorothy's story symbolized how easily society could erase even the most privileged among them, how quickly a person could become invisible. In the years that followed, her case influenced detective fiction and early crime reporting. Authors like Agatha Christie and Dorothy Alexeyers would explore similar vanishings in their work. The image of the vanished heiress became a motif of the Jazz Age, a reflection of the era's fear of changing morals and lost innocence. As for the Arnold family, tragedy and silence defined their later years. Francis Arnold died in 1922, never learning what happened to his daughter. His will made no mention of Dorothy. Her mother, Mary, passed away shortly after, her health broken by grief. The Arnold mansion was sold, and the family name faded from New York's social circles. Today, more than a century later, Dorothy Arnold's disappearance remains unsolved. Nobody was found, no confession ever made, and no trace of her life after December 12, 1910 has ever surfaced. Some believe she slipped away to Europe to live anonymously. Others believe she met a violent end that afternoon, her killer protected by wealth, secrecy, and time. But one fact endures. Dorothy Arnold's walk down Fifth Avenue has never truly ended. Her story lingers in the city's ghostly lore, a reminder that even in daylight, the world can swallow a person whole. Thank you for watching Crimes Through Time. If this story fascinated you, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more journeys into history's darkest mysteries. And tell us in the comments, what do you think happened to Dorothy Arnold? Did she run away, or was she silenced forever? We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay curious, stay safe.